The sun rose gently over the high walls of the Sony residence, brushing light across the cream paint and polished glass. Inside, the house was already awake, but not with voices or laughter, only movement, quiet, controlled, almost ghostly. Joy moved through the halls like she didn't belong to them. Her faded wrapper brushed the floor in soft swishes. Her sandals clapped lightly with each step. She had been up since before dawn, cleaning the sitting room, setting the kettle, ironing Daniel's uniform, brushing Far's hair before school. By the time anyone else was awake, the house was already in order. No one ever noticed that she had worked here for almost a year now. Since her mother's diabetes got worse and the hospital visits became more frequent, she sent nearly everything she earned home to Ecolobia, barely keeping enough for herself. Each day, she swallowed her pride, her fears, her voice, just like Mama had taught her. In another person's house, you swallow your tears. Let the walls hear them, not your tongue. Joy became very good at silence. Agnes Sony, her boss, was a career woman, sharp-tongued and always dressed like she walked off a fashion billboard. She was out most days before the sun fully bloomed, heels clicking, perfume trailing behind her. Her interactions with Joy were strictly transactional. Joy, we need eggs. Joy, you forgot to defrost the soup again. Joy, are these plates even clean? Never a smile, never a thank you. But Joy had learned that thank yous were luxury items. They cost nothing and yet were so rarely given. Femi Sony, on the other hand, was always home. A man in his mid-30s, with an easy grin and lazy eyes, he claimed to run a dropshipping business, though Joy often saw him lounging more than working. Laptop open, juice in hand, always in the study or wherever she was. At first, she thought she was imagining it. The glances, the smiles that lasted too long. The way his voice lowered whenever he said her name. Maybe he was just being nice, but it wasn't niceness, it was hunger. Joy, he had said one afternoon, as she bent to wipe the base of the bookshelf. You bend like a river, smooth, flowing. She froze. The sponge dropped from her hand. You're too beautiful to be a maid, he added. She didn't answer. She picked up the sponge and walked away, heart thumping against her ribs. That day, she started avoiding the study. Kept her blouse buttoned to the top, tied her scarf tighter. She wouldn't let him make her feel dirty, but Femi was relentless. He kept finding reasons to summon her. Joy, my charger isn't working. Joy, can you bring air freshener upstairs? When his wife was gone, his words changed. His eyes followed her. When Agnes was home, his tone flipped, like a dismissive, annoyed. Joy, don't you know how to clean a floor? Joy, your cooking tastes like punishment. Agnes never noticed. Or maybe she didn't care. She trusted her husband blindly. Joy once heard her say at dinner, my Femi may be lazy, but he's loyal. He can't stand other women touching him. Joy nearly dropped the bowl of okra soup. That night, in the tiny servant quarters behind the house, Joy lay still on the thin mattress, watching the ceiling fan spin above her like her thoughts endlessly, aimlessly. Should she tell Agnes? Would she believe her? What if she was thrown out? Her mother needed her salary. Insulin wasn't free. If I lose this job, Mama could die. The next day she woke up with resolve. Keep your head down. Stay invisible. Don't give him a reason. But invisibility didn't protect her. It happened again. This time, he called her to clean up a spill in the study drawer. The drawer was empty. He was standing behind her when she turned too close, breathing heavily, his eyes glued to her chest. Sir, please respect yourself, she said, her voice trembling but firm. He smiled. I like bold women, Joy. You're not like other maids. She stepped back. If you don't stop this, I'll tell your wife. His smile vanished. His voice turned to ice. You'll tell Agnes, he said slowly. Tell her what? That I'm chasing a maid. She won't believe you. I'll make sure of it. Joy walked out, shaking. She said nothing that day. Didn't eat. Didn't sing while washing dishes like she used to. The weight inside her chest pressed harder with every breath. Even FAA, the little girl, noticed. Joy, are you sick? You look sad. I'm just tired, my dear, she replied. But it wasn't tiredness. It was fear. Fear with no exit. She decided to say something. She would speak to Agnes the next morning before Femi had the chance to twist the truth. But he got there. First. The next morning, Joy walked into the living room with the breakfast tray. Agnes was there for that hour. Before she could speak, Femi entered with a mug of tea, wearing his most serious face. "Agnes," he began. "I didn't want to say anything, but something's wrong with this girl." Agnes looked up, curious. "What now?" "She's been ... trying to seduce me," he said, eyes dropping as if ashamed. "I didn't want to embarrass her, but she's making it hard to stay silent." Joy gasped. "That's not keep quiet," Agnes snapped. "How dare you speak when a man is talking?" "Madam, he's lying. He's been the one." "Oh please," Agnes cut her off. "I know my husband. He would never stoop so low. If this were true, why didn't you say something before now?" Joy's throat closed, her heart pounded. "Because I was scared," she whispered. "I knew no one would believe me." "You're right about that," Agnes said coldly. "No one will, guards. Get this girl out of my house. Let her carry her shame with her." Joy dropped to her knees. "Please, madam, my mother is sick. I have nowhere to go." But Agnes had already turned her back. Femi stood still, hands behind his back, watching with a smug calm as the guards dragged Joy out. Her bag hit the ground outside with a thud. The gates slammed shut. The street was quiet. Too quiet. Joy stood barefoot, the morning breeze brushing her arms like a mockery. The house behind her once, her prison now, rejected her like a stain wiped clean. 10 months of labor, patience, and silent suffering reduced to this moment. She didn't cry right away. The tears were still loading. She picked up her bag, walked down the street with no destination, no backup plan, no money. Her phone buzzed, a voice note from her mother. She didn't open it. She couldn't. If she heard Mama's voice, she would fall apart. She passed a few She asked the gateman if she could sit near his post till morning. "I know one, Wahala," he said, waving her off. "Go away." She kept walking by the estate junction. Her feet were blistered. Her purse had N50 left. Not enough for a bike ride, let alone transport to Equalobia. She found an empty shop with its shutters halfway down. It smelled of rust and urine, but it was dry. She crawled inside, curled into a ball, and finally let go. Not quiet tears, not hidden sobs. Full, aching, breathless weeping. For her mother, for her job, for the truth that got twisted. She cried until her body shut down, then slept on the cold concrete, clutching her bag like it could still protect her. By 5 a.m., Lagos was waking. Carts rolled by. Boys shouted. Matches lit cigarettes. But Joy couldn't move. Her stomach ached from hunger. Her eyes were swollen. She forced herself to her feet and stumbled back to the main road. She didn't notice the black SUV until it nearly hit her. A loud screech, tires against asphalt. A man shouting, "Are you crazy? Do you want to die?" Joy froze. The door flew open. The man was tall, furious, dressed in a crisp shirt, shoes to clean for this part of town. "Are you blind?" he yelled. "You almost got yourself killed." She didn't respond. Couldn't. Then something shifted. He looked closer, noticed her dusty wrapper, tear-stained cheeks, trembling hands. The fury in his voice gave way to curiosity, then concern. "Are you okay?" he asked, softer now. Joy raised her head for the first time in hours. Her voice was barely a whisper. "No, I'm not okay." Femi always knew how to play the victim. That morning, he was already up and dressed unusually early, a clean shirt tucked neatly into tailored slacks, a steaming cup of tea in one hand, and that carefully manufactured look of wounded dignity on his face. He had rehearsed his lines in the mirror, paused, shifted expressions, practiced sounding reluctant. He even smudged his glasses a little to look disoriented, vulnerable. He needed Agnes to believe him before Joy could say a word. Joy, on the other hand, had been up since before the first light. Her mind hadn't rested since the incident in the study the day before. The way Femi stood behind her, too close, breathing heavy like a beast, those moments had replayed in her head all night. But what haunted her more was his warning. "She'll never believe you. I'll destroy your name." She didn't want to believe him. She'd spent hours drafting her words. She would be calm, clear. She would face Agnes and explain everything. The truth, raw and trembling, but real. So when she walked into the living room that morning with the breakfast tray, and saw Agnes already sitting there, it felt like fate had opened a small window for her. She swallowed, tightened her grip on the tray, and opened her mouth to speak. But Femi beat her to it. "Agnes," he began solemnly, stepping into the room with his cup. "I've been meaning to talk to you. It's about Joy." Agnes looked up from her tablet, distracted. What now? Did she burn the tea again? He sighed, glancing briefly at Joy. then down at his feet. "It's not easy for me to say this," he said, adding a strained breath for effect, "but I think she's been trying to seduce me." Time stopped. Joy nearly dropped the tray. Agnes blinked. "What?" "She's been acting strange, lurking outside the study, wearing those tight wrappers, giving me looks. I didn't want to say anything, hoping it was just in my head, but yesterday, she made it obvious." Joy's voice cracked through the silence. "That's not true." Agnes stood up, furious. "Did I ask you to speak?" Joy set the tray down, her hands trembling. "Madam, please, he's lying. He's the one who enough," Agnes snapped, walking toward her. "Do you think I don't know my own husband? He may be lazy sometimes, but he's not disgusting. You," she pointed a sharp, manicured finger at Joy, "you should be ashamed." Joy stepped back, breath catching in her throat. "Madame, please listen." "Why now?" "Joy, if this happened before, why are you only talking after he brings it up? Convenient timing, isn't it?" "Because I was scared," Joy shouted. Her voice broke. "I knew no one would believe me." "Aye, you're right," Agnes said, voice icy. "No one does." She turned to the security men standing at the door. "Take this girl out of my house. I don't care where she goes, just get her out." Joy dropped to her knees. "Please, my mother is sick. I sent her medicine with my pay. I have no one else. Please, madam, just let me explain." But Agnes had already turned her back. Femi stood in the corner, silent, victorious. The guards didn't hesitate. They grabbed Joy by the arms, lifted her like she was garbage, and dragged her across the floor she had spent months scrubbing clean. Her bag was tossed outside. The gate slammed shut behind her. Just like that, she was nothing. The sky was already growing hot, but Joy felt cold all over. She sat on the pavement outside the Sony residence, holding her small duffel bag against her chest like armor. Her wrapper was dust-streaked, her scarf slipping off her head. She stared at the ground, blinking away the tears that wouldn't stop falling. 10 months of unpaid overtime, waking up before the sun, putting up with silence and shame and whispered threats, all of it gone in a moment. No warning, no justice. She stood slowly, her legs shaky. Her phone buzzed, a voice note from Mama. She didn't open it. She COULDN. Single quotes did not with her heart caving in like this. She walked with no destination, just away, past the security gates, past the familiar corners of the estate, past closed kiosks and flickering sign. The city had moved on without her. Everyone else was working, hurrying, surviving, and she was discarded. She tried asking a gatekeeper outside another house if she could sit in his shade. "No space here," he said gruffly. "Go away. You go cause problem." She nodded and moved on. Her shoes were old and thin-soled. Her heels ached. She hadn't eaten since the night before. She tried to think, who can I call? But the answer echoed back, no one. She kept walking by. The time the sun had climbed to its cruelest point, her skin felt like it was burning. She found a rundown, shuttered shop on a forgotten side street, with half its steel cover rolled down. The front smelled like old urine and stale cigarettes, but it was dry and quiet. Joy stepped inside, hugged her bag, and slid down against the wall. She didn't cry this time, not yet. Her face was too tired, her soul too bruised. The voices of children echoed from somewhere. A hawker shouted in the distance. She closed her eyes and tried not to exist. When night came, it brought mosquitoes, cold, and fear. Every sound outside made her jump. A drunk man shouting, a car screeching, rats. Her body stayed tense the entire time. Sleep came in short bursts. 5 minutes here, a nightmare there. Over and over. By 5 a.m., Lagos stirred again. Vendors rolled carts past her. Someone whistled. A group of boys laughed too loud. Joy sat up, dizzy, stomach groaning. Her mouth was dry. Her head was pounding. She stood, legs heavy as bricks, and left the shelter of the shop. She needed to find a place to wash her face, somewhere to sit, something to eat, but mostly, she just needed to keep moving. She walked down the road, disoriented. Her feet dragged. Her scarf slipped again. Her skin felt like it didn't belong to her anymore. She looked both ways, but too slowly. She didn't hear the horn. A black SUV skidded to a stop just inches away from her. Tires screamed against the tar. She froze like a deer. The door slammed open. "Are you mad?" a man shouted. "Are you trying to get yourself killed?" She blinked up at him, eyes blurry. The sunlight hit the stranger's frame like a halo. He was tall, dressed in an ironed blue shirt, expensive shoes, polished watch completely out of place in this dusty intersection. He looked furious, but then he looked closer. His rage faded. Her wrapper, her trembling, the crack in her lips, the dirt on her feet, the bag she clutched like life itself. "Are you okay?" he asked, gentler now. "Hey, I'm talking to you. Are you?" Joy opened her mouth, and for the first time in hours, she said the truth out loud. "No," she whispered. "I'm not okay." The man paused, studying her. He looked around the road, then back at her. "There's a cafe down the street," he said. "Come with me. You need water and food. Please." Joy flinched. That word "please" felt strange on her ears, especially from a man. She stepped back slightly. Every nerve in her body screamed, "Don't trust, don't follow, don't get close." But her stomach growled again. Her knees buckled slightly, and something in the man's voice wasn't fake, it wasn't rehearsed, it was human. She nodded. Just once. He didn't touch her, didn't smile wide, or make jokes or offer pity. He simply walked beside her, quiet and careful. As she followed him down the sidewalk toward a place that might finally have light, the cafe owner hesitated when he saw her, but the man only gestured once, and the staff cleared a table immediately. He ordered bottled water and hot tea. When the waiter walked away, he turned to her. "My name is Chike," he said gently. "Can you tell me yours?" Joy looked down at her lap. "Joy," she said softly. "Joy," he repeated. "That's a strong name, but you don't look very joyful today." She gave a broken smile. "Because I have nothing left." The tea burned going down, but Joy didn't stop drinking. Her hands trembled as she gripped the warm cup, sipping cautiously between breaths. The cafe was still half asleep, being unstacked, a broom sweeping across the tiled floor. Morning light sneaking through dusty glass. Across from her, Chike sat in calm silence. He didn't press, didn't interrupt. He watched her the way someone watches a fragile animal, attentive but unthreatening. She set the cup down. Her eyes avoided his. "Thank you for not shouting," she said finally, voice raw. "I almost did," he admitted, with a small smile. "But then I saw your face." Joy glanced at him, curious. He looked like someone who hadn't been seen in a long time. Her throat tightened. "I don't know why I told you my name," she muttered. "I haven't told anyone anything in days. You don't owe me anything, Joy, but sometimes saying your name out loud reminds you that you still exist." That hit harder than she expected. He offered her bread and a boiled egg. She hesitated before taking it. Each bite felt like both a gift and a sin. She hadn't eaten since the day before, but it felt almost wrong accepting kindness from a stranger. Still, her body betrayed her. She finished it in minutes. Chike leaned back, giving her space. "Do you want to tell me what happened?" he asked softly. Joy stared at the remains of her tea. Silence stretched between them like a thread ready to snap. Then, without warning, her voice came. She told him everything, not in one clean breath, but in waves, halting, trembling, painful, about the house, the children, the silence, Femi, the threats, Agnes, the expulsion, the night alone in a forgotten shop, her sick mother in Equilobia, the hopelessness that nearly pushed her into that road. Chike didn't flinch, didn't gasp or widen his eyes, or react the way people do when they're pretending to care. He just listened. When she finished, her shoulders slumped like someone who had run a marathon and finally collapsed at the finish line. "I'm sorry," she said, wiping her face quickly. "I didn't mean to dump all that on you." "Don't apologize for surviving," he replied. "People say stay strong like it's easy, but you've already done something many can't. You held yourself together when no one else would." Joy blinked at him, unsure of how to respond. He checked his watch, then looked back at her. "Joy, I'm not trying to fix your life in one morning. I can't. But right now, you need rest, a bath, a safe room, something soft." She shook her head. "I don't know you. You don't have to trust me," he said. "But at least let me give you a few hours of peace. You can leave whenever you want. I'll call a woman I trust to stay with you. I won't ask you for anything." Joy studied his face. There was no tension in it. No arrogance, no expectation, but still, she had learned the hard way that even the kindest eyes could lie. "I can't," she whispered. "I can't go through that again. I can't be fooled." He reached slowly into his wallet and placed an ID card on the table. Chike Director, CO Holdings. It bore a seal, a signature, his photograph. And if that means nothing to you, he said, good. All that matters right now is that you need help, and I can offer it, safely. She stared at the card, then back at him. The thread of fear inside her hadn't snapped it. Still hummed it. Exhaustion. Pure, bone-deep exhaustion. She nodded, slowly. I need a bath, she whispered, and sleep. He stood, left some cash on the table, then opened the door of the SUV, not the front seat, but the back. You can sit back here. More space, more privacy. Joy climbed in without a word. The leather seat was cold, but it smelled clean of citrus and polish, not like the crowded, sweaty Danfoss she'd ridden before. The engine hummed to life, and for the first time in days, she exhaled. She didn't ask where they were going. She didn't care. Her body was shutting down. She leaned her head back, closed her eyes, and let the ride carry her. The car slowed after about 20 minutes, turning off the main road into a tree-lined street. The gate ahead was tall, black, and guarded. The uniformed men saluted as they opened it, not questioning a thing. Joy opened her eyes as the car entered the compound. It was beautiful. Manicured lawns, sculpted bushes, a small fountain danced in the center of the driveway. The house was large but calm, not flashy like a politician's mansion, but warm and polished like a private retreat. Chaik stepped out and opened her door, keeping a respectful distance. I promised peace. It starts here. A woman appeared on the porch, mid-50s, gentle-faced, apron tied perfectly. She smiled at Joy the way a mother greets a child too old to be babied, but too wounded to stand tall. This is Madame Aya, Chaik said. She runs the house. She'd take care of you. Come, my dear. Madame Aya said warmly, extending a hand. Joy hesitated. Then, for the first time in months, she reached out to someone without expecting pain. Madame Aya didn't ask questions. She led Joy inside. The interior was even softer than the outside. Light walls, clean floors, floral scents. There were no sharp voices, no loud shoes, no suspicion. Upstairs, a room awaited, painted in rose and cream. A large bed, clean sheets, a folded robe, a towel, soap that smelled of flowers. You bathe, Madame Aya said. When you come out, food will be ready. Joy stepped into the bathroom. When she looked in the mirror, she didn't recognize herself. The girl staring back had dust in her hair, dried tears on her cheeks, cracked lips, and empty eyes. She peeled off her wrapper, stepped into the shower. The first drop of warm water broke her. She cried, not from fear, but from release, from grief finally given space, from muscles allowed to fall limp. The water washed over her skin like a blessing she didn't believe she deserved. When she stepped out and dressed in the soft robe, she already felt lighter, still hollow, still unsure, but less broken. Downstairs, Madame Aya had set a small tray, white rice, fried plantain, and pepper stew. Eat, Joy, she said. You are safe here. Joy sat, ate, and didn't speak. She couldn't. Later, Madame Aya handed her a folded peach-colored gown. Oga went out earlier to buy this, she said. He asked for something simple. For a woman who's been through a storm. Joy held the fabric, stunned. He'd bought her a dress. Why? What did he see in her? That evening, after the rain had cooled the garden and the house settled into quiet, there was a knock on the door. It was Chike. He stood respectfully near the entrance, a gentle smile on his face. May I come in? Joy nodded. He entered and sat across from her near the window. For a moment, they said nothing. Then he spoke. I wanted to wait until you felt safe before I told you more. Joy watched him carefully. I'm not just the director of a company, he said. My full name is Chaik Ordinaka. My father is President Fena Ordinaka. Her breath caught. You're the president's son? She asked. Stunned, he nodded. Yes, but that doesn't matter here. What matters is that I see you. Joy stood, abruptly, unsure what to do. I didn't know. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Don't change your tone. I didn't help you because of pity or guilt. I helped you because someone helped me once when I was at my lowest. Joy's eyes filled with tears again. No one has ever seen me, she whispered. Chike leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You're not just a maid, Joy. You're a woman with strength, a voice, and a future. Don't let their lies bury that. She couldn't speak. She just nodded. Then, for the first time in a long time, she smiled, small, worn, but real. Morning light crept softly across the rose-colored walls as Joy stirred beneath clean sheets. She hadn't woken up like this in years. No barking voices, no scraping brooms, no panic about being late. Just quiet, just peace. She stayed still for a moment, staring at the ceiling, letting the silence wrap around her like a blanket she didn't know she needed. Then came the knock. Joy. Good morning, Madame Iya's voice called gently through the door. Olga said, to come downstairs when you're ready. He left something for you. Joy sat up slowly. Her feet touched the soft carpet. This room still felt like a dream, too good, too untouched. Like any moment someone would walk in and say sorry, mistake, go back to the streets where you belong. She slipped into the peach dress, combed her hair neatly, and made her way downstairs. Chaik stood near the study window, back turned, hands tucked into his pockets. He turned as she entered, that familiar soft smile on his face. Morning, he said, his tone calm and warm. Good morning, sir, she replied instinctively. He chuckled. Let's drop the sir. Yeah, just call me Chaik. She nodded, awkward but grateful. I have something for you, he said, gesturing to a black leather folder on the desk. She approached slowly. Open it. Inside was several official-looking documents, her name typed in bold across the top of the first page. Certificate of business name, registration, Joyful Bites, Catering and Events Ltd. Her heart jumped. She flipped to the next page, a stamped bank account document. Her name again, a fresh account, then another. A lease agreement for a small commercial shop in Saru, a busy district on the mainland. Joy looked up at him, stunned. I understand. You once told me you loved to cook, he said, sitting across from her. That food was your piece. I remember how your eyes changed when you spoke about it. But I only said that yesterday. That was all I needed. He opened his phone and placed it on the table. A design mock-up appeared on the screen. A cheerful logo with soft yellow and green tones. A dove in mid-flight above a steaming plate of jollof rice. Beneath it, Joyful Bites. Homemade goodness, heart-made dreams. Joy's hand covered her mouth. This is real. Chaik nodded. Very real. Tears welled up in her eyes. There's 100,000 in the account to start, he continued. And I've hired a business consultant who'll work with you for the first 3 months. Menus, pricing, permits, staff, everything. I don't even know how to thank you. You don't have to. Just build something with it. Something that reflects you. Joy took a breath like she hadn't done in years. A breath that reached deep. She clutched the folder to her chest and laughed, a sound that shocked even her. That same day, they drove to the shop in Saru. It was modest but well located, corner lot, big windows, 2 small prep rooms in the back. Joy walked through it in awe, touching the walls like they were made of gold. She turned to Chaik. It's perfect. He smiled. It's yours. From that moment, Joy transformed. She rose early, not out of obligation, but passion. She worked side by side with the consultant, learning how to price a dish, write contracts, negotiate vendors. She named her spice blends, tested recipes in Madame Ia's kitchen, and even built her own little catalogue. And when it came time to hire help, she didn't turn to polished resumes or references. She went back to places she knew too well, on church corners, the edge of markets where girls like her waited with tired eyes and hope buried deep. She found Mabel, 17, fired from her last job without pay. Ruth, 21, who had been sleeping in her aunt's corridor for weeks. Aisha, 19, with burn scars on her hands and a broken laugh that tried to part her heart. Joy didn't pity them. She saw herself in them at the shop. They trained together. They chopped onions and shared stories. They burned rice, fixed it, and tried again. Slowly, they started believing they could belong to something. One afternoon, as Joy oversaw a delivery of gas cookers, Chaik appeared at the shop with his laptop in hand. He watched her from the sidewalk for a while, leaning against his car, a proud but distant smile on his face. She didn't notice him right away. She was too busy directing a carpenter, taste testing a new Zobo recipe, adjusting apron sizes for the girls. When she finally did, she ran to him laughing, apron stained, sleeves rolled up. You came. I told you I'd be watching, he said. But in person, she teased. I wanted to see it with my own eyes. You've done more in 2 weeks than some people do in 2 years. Joy beamed. I'm not the same girl you met on the road. Chaik. No, he said. You're not. He stayed only an hour that day, long enough to eat some smoky jollof and leave a generous review on the shop's new Instagram page. Then, he told her he was leaving the country for a few weeks' work. In Dubai, something big. Joy nodded, trying not to show her disappointment. But I'll check in, he promised, and I left something for you at the house. The next morning, Joy returned to the guest room to find a velvet box and a sealed envelope on the dresser. She opened the box first. Inside was a silver pendant, a dove in mid-flight. Simple, elegant, strong. She fastened it around her neck, fingers trembling. Then, she opened the envelope. Joy, by now, you've probably figured out that this was never about me. It was always about you. You're the one who had nothing and kept going. The one who stayed standing when life shoved you to the floor. This shop is not a gift, it's a door. You built it. You walked through it. So fly, Joy, fly far. It's not your pain that defines you anymore. It's your power. I'll be watching from afar. Chikesh read the letter twice, then held it to her heart. He was gone, but she was still here. And this time, she had wings. The sun rose slowly over Siru, brushing the edges of tin rooftops and shop signs with a soft orange hue. On the corner of Aligomaji Street, the shutters of a small restaurant lifted, revealing glass doors polished to a gleam and a freshly painted sign that read, "Joyful Bites, Homemade Goodness, Heart-Made Dreams." Inside, the air was thick with the smell of pepper stew, sizzling plantains, and fresh bread rolls. Stainless steel counters gleamed, pots boiled in rhythm. Joy stood behind the counter, wearing a cream apron stitched with her name and a simple dove pendant resting against her collarbone. The grand opening had begun. People came in curious, drawn by the scent or the buzz. A local food blogger posted a picture of the menu. A teacher from the nearby secondary school ordered for lunch packs for his staff. A mother with 3 kids sat by the window and asked if they could try a little bit of everything. Joy moved through the shop like it was her second skin spring, smiling, guiding her girls, adjusting trays, checking spice levels. The once quiet girl who used to swallow her voice in the shadow of a marble staircase now laughed out loud, gave directions confidently, and held her shoulders high. Mabel worked the cash register like a pro, even throwing in compliments that made customers blush. Ruth handled plating artfully, arranging jollof rice, fried chicken, and coleslaw like she'd done it her whole life. Aisha, once too scared to touch hot oil, now ruled the kitchen like a general with a wooden spoon. It wasn't perfect. The water tank hiccuped. Someone dropped a tray. The POS machine froze twice. But Joy never panicked, not today. A few times her thoughts drifted to Chaik. She hadn't heard from him since he left. No calls, no messages, nothing. But the pendant he gave her stayed warm against her skin, as if reminding her, "You're not waiting anymore. You're building." By 4 p.m., the rush had slowed. The girls cleaned up, humming along to a radio playing faintly in the background. Joy stepped outside for air, hands on her hips, watching the street. And that's when she saw her, a girl barely 16, standing across the road barefoot, her wrapper torn, carrying a tray of oranges. Her shoulders sagged. Her eyes darted left and right, like she was trying not to be seen and desperate to be seen at the same time. Joy knew that look. She'd worn it once, without thinking. She crossed the street. "Hello," she called gently. The girl jumped, startled. "I'm not here to hurt you," Joy said quickly. Are you hungry?" The girl looked at her, confused, then slowly nodded. Joy held out her hand. "Come with me." She led her back across the road, opened the cafe door, and sat her at the corner table. Mabel brought a plate. Aisha poured zobo. The girl ate like she hadn't eaten in days. Joy watched her quietly, hand resting on the dove round her neck. Later, when the girl finished, she looked up nervously. "Why are you helping me?" Joy smiled softly. "Because someone helped me. And now, it's my turn." That evening, as the city dimmed into dusk, Joy stood by the glass window of her shop, arms crossed, heart full. Outside, the street buzzed with life vendors closing, children laughing, danfos honking. But inside her, something had shifted. She was no longer afraid of the world beyond the glass, no longer hiding behind silence or shame. She was Joy, a woman who had been thrown out, bruised and silenced, but no flew. The tragedy that nearly broke her had become the seed of something larger, something that fed not just stomachs, but spirits. A second chance. A spark passed forward. She pressed a hand to the dove pendant on her chest and whispered, thank you, not just to Chike, but to herself, for surviving, for rising, for becoming the woman she was always meant to be. Behind her, laughter rang from the kitchen, plates clattered, life moved on, and joy turned toward the door, not with fear, but with purpose. If you watched until the end, comment the word RISE, subscribe to the channel, and share it with friends and family.